queuing up for the Nonprofit live chat. Hey, Rustman Den, good to see you on there. We're on Periscope Live, and we will be on Zoom in just a minute. Hello everybody. Join us live. There's a bunch of you on the Periscope. We're going to have some questions. Hi there.
To avoid.
Reverend Holloway, how are you, sir? Can you hear me?
Hi, well, thank you for recognizing me. Thank you. I can hear you just fine. I need some help on, so I'll do that at some point in the future soon.
Yeah.
Here you have a massive halo of light right above your head.
And your point is?
It follows you everywhere, right?
Reverend Holloway was in my workshop in Vero Beach and a very active participant in the recent workshop, and he wants to talk about public speaking. And David Gruder and I are both speakers, and we present on different stages. Happy to share what we know.
Excellent.
We have a group of people.
I have a website that's not yet developed, but it's called Productive Communication, and my tagline is the art of being.
You froze up, man.
It's I think that
the art of being. You're freezing up.
Everybody wants to be heard.
Well, I was going to say something like, what did you say?
I love this stuff.
I don't know if is it me freezing up or is it you guys?
Yeah, that'll be better.
Daniel, I'm impressed with your library.
Well, we just did the floors in here, and I just moved things around, and so I saw that when I saw the video. I thought, well, it's all up here.
It's all up here. That's a good one. That's a good one.
No, I haven't loaded the books back in. We just did this afternoon, so.
That's a good one. We have a group of people watching us on Periscope, and some people we know. And folks on Periscope, you can certainly chat if you want to. We have some questions that we're going to pose during the time. We officially go at this about less than an hour. Sometimes people want to talk longer. Sometimes they're worth it. Sometimes not. So, and I just finished a meeting in Roanoke, Virginia, and I'm on the way home. So I stopped at Panera to get.
I used to have a ministry there.
You have what?
I did transitional ministry up in Roanoke for a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty part of the country.
Well, we're pre-launch here for the chat. We do this every Tuesday. We have typically a group of people watching us on one of the passive channels. We are going to save the Periscope this time, David. We can save it to my phone camera roll, and then I'll post it up on social media. David and I were talking about this yesterday. Am I frozen or are you guys frozen? Hello, are y'all there? I think I'm the one that's frozen. All right,
Hugh is back.
I didn't have a good connection, so I apologize. So
we covered for you.
You covered for me.
We decided that Doyle decided that you were electronically or technologically handicapped. That's all.
And it looks like Doyle's driving. He's out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm out in my with my wife. I had to take her to the chiropractor.
All right. Everybody's happy and smiling. We're going to launch some questions, and Doyle remembers meeting you, David. And,
yes, he just mentioned that before you were able to get back on.
Yeah, so I'm hopefully connected for a while with my halo. We do have a group watching us on I keep thinking of the name, Periscope. I think of a submarine, David. I think of Periscope. And so Russ and I are working together, and he's going to create jobs and help people who have been out of the workforce come back together. And I don't know who that is there with a view of their living room. Russell's on the line. There he comes. A handsome picture of Russell Dennis.
There he is.
Diana. People normally come in, David, during the Leah Jones Allen in Pennsylvania. How are you, ma'am? Can y'all hear me? She's always very polite.
Hi, Leah.
Absolutely. She's going to see more of me. Russ Man Dennis, the three first names, Russell David Dennis. So David and I had posed some questions, and David, this is just informal, and like you and I, I'll add the color to the context of it, and we'll go back and forth. David and I have done numbers of things together, and he's like I'm a Scottish brother, he's a Jewish brother from another mother.
Exactly.
And so we surmise.
Both know how to be frugal in two different flavors.
Now, those of you that are watching on Zoom can certainly participate and ask further questions or add comments to what we're doing. Those who are on Periscope, you can tweet. Sandy, who's on here watching, she's gonna monitor the nonprofit chat tweets. We've posed 4 questions, and David, I say we just sort of dig into the first one. You ready?
Yes, let's go ahead. One last thing, though, because I noticed that at least one person is new to Zoom. So if you do want to type in a message, you'll see a button or an icon at the bottom of your screen that says chat. And if you click on the chat icon, that'll open up a screen that enables you to send a message to everyone or send a message to someone specific.
Absolutely. There's somebody just joined a Periscope called No BS Coach. Sounds intriguing. No BS Coach. If you want to come over to nonprofitchat.com, you can join us on the live conversation. David, since you mentioned the chat box, how about putting in the link to your site? It's drgruder.com, but I just call it Gruder.
So that's the main website, and the other one we were talking about earlier, I'll put in later, or
go ahead and put it in. If you want some stuff about David, you can go find out a whole lot of stuff on his website. He's very transparent and shares a lot of stuff with everybody. And so let's get into the first question, the money shadow. And David, I think before we get into the question, why don't we define money shadow? And I'd like to. You've seen the message about David. He's a organizational and developmental psychologist. He's also an expert in business development, and he speaks at conferences of professionals in his industry. He also speaks to entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders. And David and I have been closely aligned for, I don't know how many years, David. I forget how many.
It's about 6.5 years now.
Oh, my word. So how about setting some context around this thing that we're calling money shadow? It sounds scary.
Well, in some senses it is, but it's only scary when it's unknown to us. We're going to end up defining money in a different kind of way in a little while, but the shadow piece is the term shadow in psychology is a term that was originally coined by an early psychologist in the history of modern psychology whose name was Carl Jung. And what the shadow is, in that way of psychologically looking at shadow, is aspects of us that run us despite our better intentions, parts of us that we hide or deny or repress or unintentionally or unconsciously indulge, or that we justify despite knowing that those things in us aren't terribly helpful. That's all shadow.
Wow. 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 I guess if
Hugh?
I'm going to talk,
Oh,
I
there you go.
should unmute myself. I'm going to talk. So, you and I surmise there's some questions that would frame our discussion tonight. And so the first one is, what are the hidden factors that prevent us from receiving funding? So, go for it.
Well, there are a number of hidden factors, and the ones that I think we're probably not going to focus on today are the external factors, like market conditions and availability of different types of funding sources, funding opportunities. Those are very legitimate and important to address. What we're focusing on today, though, is the unintended internal contributions to those difficulties. So, for example, there are an awful lot of people that I have known over the years, and I used to include myself among them, actually. And these were and are people who sincerely believe that in order to maintain integrity and life balance and social responsibility, that one must be willing to sacrifice financial well-being or wealth. And that's a prescription for setting up an internal climate that will block money from coming. There's also a kind of a spiritual dimension to this, which is a dimension in certain branches of some religious traditions that says that money is by definition evil, and therefore if I draw money to me, if I attract money, I am going to the dark side. I'm in the process of going to the dark side, or I'm already on the dark side. And so when that kind of understanding or misunderstanding of spirituality and money is present in someone, it's also going to block access to funding. Because the paradox is, if I get the funding, then I become the evil that I'm trying to repair in the world.
Is that potentially a misinterpretation or misunderstanding? I know in the Christian realm, people misquote scripture as the money is the root of all evil, when the exact quote is the love of money. And so some of it has become distorted, but there are other religious orders that take vow poverty, and they want to focus totally on their spirituality. So I don't know that they demonize money. So say a little more about that, because that's something that's probably embedded in our psyche from our family of origin and our religion of origin.
Yeah, that last part, Hugh, is really not shadow, unless the motivations aren't pure. But when a particular individual feels called to devote themselves to a much more ethereal version of a life of spirit, if that's their spiritual calling, how they walk through their life, then if they take a vow of poverty, that isn't going to register in them as deprivation. That isn't going to register in them as having done something because money is evil. It's that they've made a commitment that says, I'm not going to focus on material things, and I'm okay with not focusing on material things, because the way that I am called to practice my spiritual path is through an ethereal kind of focus, not so much a worldly kind of focus. And that's legitimate. There's nothing shadow about that, when that is a consciously made decision, and where it's not a decision that's been undertaken because of fear of money, but rather because of attraction to a particular path of spiritual practice.
That's a good distinction. So, would you like to entertain comments or questions from the people that are on Zoom?
Oh, absolutely. I don't see any so far.
We'll let them unmute themselves and talk. Renee has joined us from Salt Lake City. So Russ, we've talked about money over these weeks a few times, and over the long time we've been engaged. Do you want to add some context to what David's saying, or you have questions for Dr. Gruder?
Well, yeah, I'd love to weigh in. Good to see everyone. There's definitely what I call a relationship that you have with money. And for a long time, I had a bad one with it. And it's all around internal rules. And I uncovered a really big one with the help of Hal Dibner last year, and that it's selfish to ask for what I want. And that was huge. Now, when you have nonprofit leaders or board members, you see all the debates about asking for money, and people get really emotional when you talk about fundraising. Whose responsibility is it? But when you're asking for money, if you've got that internal rule that it's selfish to ask for, you're going to have difficulty. And so, as a nonprofit leader, you have to ask for things. Time, talent, and treasure, those are the things we ask for.
Hal Dibner is another psychologist, Dr. Hal Dibner. So David, you want to respond to this? I find that a lot of people actually have a resistance to what Russ is bringing up, the ask. And I think, to me, it's about reframing. So would you handle that one, sir?
Yes. And thank you for adding that, Russell, because I think you're absolutely spot on. I think that a lot of what creates that kind of hesitancy is a faulty definition of money. A lot of people really, when I have asked people to define what they mean by the word money, I rarely get a definition that supports well-being around money. The most common definition that I will get is the high school economics definition, medium of exchange. And there's certainly truth to that definition, but it's a kind of truth that falls into a category that I refer to as true but not useful, because it doesn't really illuminate what blocks us around money. So if it's okay with Hugh, I am going to offer a different definition of money right now. Is this an okay time to do that? I see you nodding your head. Okay, cool. So if you're in front of something that you can write down on, if you have a piece of paper or something, I'm going to invite you to write down the following symbols, and then I'm going to unpack them for you. And if you're not in front of something that you can write on, don't worry about it, because I'll walk you through it. So if you are, then write down $, the symbol for the $, equals lowercase p, uppercase L, uppercase E, times 2C. And I just typed that into the chat window on Zoom. $, equals lowercase e, uppercase L, uppercase E times 2C. So I'm going to unpack that for you. Obviously, we all know what the $, means. Obviously, we're using an American symbol for currency. So if there are any Europeans, for example, on the call, then just replace that with a euro symbol or a pound symbol. And the other side of the equal sign, the lowercase p stands for portions. Portions. And the uppercase L, uppercase E stands for life energy. And the letter C is for the word converted. So, $, or money, equals portions of our life energy converted 2 times around. So let me unpack that. Money is simply portions of our life energy in a converted form. And I'll get into the two different conversions momentarily. But money is portions of our life energy in a converted form. Here's what I mean. All of us have 100% of our life energy to divvy up as we wish. And I assume all of you have seen pie charts, budgetary pie charts, where you've got a budget that's divided into different sized pie slices representing different dollar amount allocations for different parts of your budget, different categories of your budget. Well, the same kind of thing is true with life energy. We have 100% of our life energy. That's the entire circle, the entire pie. And then we divvy up our life energy in whatever ways we do. So we devote a portion of our life energy, hopefully, to self-care, and a portion of our life energy, if we're spiritually oriented, to our spiritual practice, and a portion of our life energy to our loved ones, and a portion of our life energy, perhaps, hopefully, to hobbies, creative expressions, and a portion of our life energy to generating revenue. Okay, so that's what I mean by portions of our life energy. Only a slice of our life energy pie chart is devoted to monetization. And even when we're talking about a nonprofit setting, the monetization is the money, the funding that's needed for the nonprofit to function. And if you are a paid executive in that nonprofit, then it's also how you're getting financially compensated for the life energy that you are putting into helping that nonprofit flourish. If you're a volunteer, then if you do volunteer work as I do, then I also have a pie slice in my life energy pie that is for trading or offering portions of my expertise, but not in a form that's converted into money. It's volunteer time, it's donation. So the first thing to understand about money is that money is life energy in a converted form. I take certain portions of my life energy, provide those portions of my life energy to those who are wanting access to that expertise, that talent, those capabilities, and are wanting that access enough to want to access that or gain access to me in return for paying me. When I'm getting paid, I am getting nothing other than my life energy that they have been wanting access to back at me in a converted form. That's the first conversion in portions of our life energy in a converted form. That's the first of the 2C. The other C, the other conversion, the second of the 2C, is that when I convert those portions of my life energy that I've devoted to monetization into monetary form, then I use that converted life energy that's now in a money form to pay for things, to purchase things, to pay my bills. And I hopefully also use a portion of that converted life energy that's now in monetary form to build toward financial independence, to build toward a future. And what I mean by financial independence, by the way, has no specific dollar amount to it. What I mean by it is that if all of us, if we live long enough, we will ultimately reach a point where our expenses for living are being paid for by some source of converted life energy that we're no longer working for. In other words, investments or Social Security that we've paid into for our lives, and now we're at a point in our lives where we're getting our Social Security check every month, and hopefully retirement plan distributions and things like that.
You promised not to share that. You promised not to share that.
Oh. Right. Excuse my age and mental condition.
That's right. So, excuse me for that's just such a poignant reframing, Dave. Excuse me for interrupting. I just couldn't resist.
No problem. So, think about this for a moment. What percentage of people in the general population, what percentage of employees, what percentage of entrepreneurs, what percentage of people in nonprofit settings and religious settings really understand money as portions of our life energy in a converted form? Do you think very many people really have that understanding, or very few?
I think we've gotten our panties in a wad about money, and
Right.
I couldn't help but looking on what do you call it, Periscope. We've had 86 people watching us, and hello Sarah Beth up there, and Floyd, you gave us a lot of hearts. I think we've distorted our perspective of money, and I think you're laying a very strong foundation for us to begin revisiting it. And I like to read the wisdom of Richard Rohr every day, and he talks about this non-dual thinking, and it's got to be right or wrong, or good or bad, or left or right, and there's really a different kind of context for revealing the truth, and the truth stands by itself no matter how we try to find it. But you've given me a new framing. I think, and I kid about it, but I grew up as a Scottish Presbyterian, and we call it frugal, other people call it something else. And so that did sort of give me a perspective about this whole thing about money growing up, and it still kind of resides. I like to think it's practical, but some people think I take it to excess. So this is so helpful. I'd like to have Daniel Holloway weigh. And is this a pause place that I can ask for another comment or two?
Yes, absolutely. And what I'll do after that is I'm going to now then tie in money with shadow and define what money shadow is.
Great, and then we'll move to the integrity question. So, Daniel, you represent a whole different perspective of church. It's a little bit I know about you, and our mutual friend Lolita Janke is part of your tribe here. So, you want to respond to this reframing that David's helping us put our head around?
Having to do with the idea of money and the energy of money?
Absolutely, and how we've really tainted it in a negative way. Especially some of our brothers and sisters in the other churches.
I rarely ask for money in my church. When I do, I let people know that it's not that I want money. What I want is to open up their consciousness for a divine flow, a giving and receiving. It has to do with their opening to understand their limitations. And when they freeze up when it comes to giving, it's because they have blocked that divine flow. And so when we say, you realize that by opening that up and by being able to give freely and without fear, you are actually drawing to you an energy that will bring to you much more in so many different ways. Whether it's not just about money, it's about all kinds of prosperity. So, it is a different way of looking at things. And the church for about 1 billion years has been accused of trying to get people to dig deep into their wallets to make them better. I like to let people know that I'm not doing that for me. We will benefit, definitely, but you will benefit even more. You have a shift in your consciousness that has to do with being free from the idea of hoarding or fear of giving.
I see David nodding. So, David, take it from there and go on to the connecting of the shadow like you wanted to do.
Sure. Before I go on to shadow, absolutely, Daniel, that's spot on. This belief in scarcity is a real challenge for a lot of people. The idea that there's only so much life energy to go around, and there is not enough, and therefore I have to hold on to what I have. And what I think you're pointing out very rightly is that the more we circulate our life energy through that sense of abundance, because We are not the source of it. We are the throughput. We're the channel of the unlimited life energy. The more we're circulating that life energy, the more life energy becomes available to circulate. And what you're referring to is something that I often refer to as anorexia, money anorexia, where there's this sense of not being able to have enough, and therefore I'm at risk if I give. Now we have other people that are at the other end of that continuum. We have bingers. We have people that are so disrespectful of their own life energy that they give out everything and forget about themselves. They're self-neglectful. So we have the people who are very tight with their life energy, and because they don't want to neglect themselves or their loved ones. And then we have people who are so loose with their life energy that they neglect themselves or their loved ones in favor of causes. And it's really about, again, these are just variations on the notion of scarcity. So before I go on to define money shadow, Dennis, did you want to follow up on what I was just saying? Not Dennis, I'm sorry, Daniel.
Oh, no. I think I'm right in alignment with what you're talking about, so let's just go forward.
Okay, good. So I had said earlier that shadow is aspects of us that we repress or hide or deny or unconsciously indulge or justify despite the unhelpfulness of those parts of us. In other words, aspects of us that run us despite our higher intentions. Well, what money shadow is limiting beliefs that we carry that surround money, limiting beliefs around money that cause our money behaviors to be a mismatch with our higher intentions.
Wow. Wow.
So I'll say that again, because that was probably a mouthful. Limiting beliefs surrounding money that cause our money behaviors to not match our higher intentions is how I define money shadow.
Wow.
Hugh, you're muted, but do you want to add something to that?
No, I wanted to note, Kate Lindbergh will be transcribing some of these notes for people who couldn't make it. That is certainly something we want to capture.
Wonderful.
That is
Thank you,
that was
Kate.
going to capture. We're going to then we're going to post this live on Facebook. So we'll nonprofitchat.com is where you can go to get on the list to get the notes. So David, that is a clarifying definition. Thank you for that.
What is that?
We're sir?
What is that again? Not for profit or non-profit?
Oh, not non, N-O-N, nonprofitchat.com.
I'm going to type it into the chat box.
And that's where you can find, you can get on the list so you can get the notes as we transcribe them. I didn't get to welcome Renee and her group. Renee Shaw is in Salt Lake City. I see you got a group around the table, and you're listening to this as a group. So welcome Renee and your group. We're all at a place where we want to open up the energy flow for our projects, aren't we?
Yes, and it's amazing that you can see me because I can't see you, and I don't know why.
Can you lean up a little closer so we can hear you better?
I said, I'm glad you can see us because we can't see you, and I don't know why. I'm trying to figure that out, but we can hear you.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting that you can see us. Oh, there. That's cool.
I look better on the radio. So we're at the halfway mark, David. You want to look at the other questions to kind of move through them. The second question was, do we have to sacrifice? Can I go ahead?
Sure. Yeah.
Do we have to sacrifice integrity in coming out of this place where we feel like money is bad? Some people feel like asking for money is not the thing they want to do, especially if they know people. So how about responding to that and see if people want to weigh in?
Oh, are you wanting people to weigh in before before I respond, or is that what you're saying?
It's your choice. I think if you go ahead and talk about it, then let's let people respond to your wisdom. You're the guest.
Well, we can argue whether it's wisdom, but they can respond to my perspective at least. Right. So what I want to offer up about this is that we all know that we're in polarized and even hyper-polarized society. But one of the polarizations that I observe and have observed for many years in our society has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with money. It has to do with there being one group that insists that in order to be financially well off, one has to be willing to sacrifice personal integrity or cherished relationships or life balance or social responsibility or some combination of those. Whereas the other equal and opposite polarity group insists that in order to maintain our personal integrity and our life balance and our cherished relationships and social responsibility, we have to be willing to sacrifice our financial well-being. Now, bless everybody who hasn't gotten caught up in that polarization virus on either side of that continuum. If you haven't gotten caught up in that, all the more power to you. Don't get caught up in it. But an awful lot of people have polarized in one direction or the other. And both polar extremes are equally but oppositely insane. And the insanity gets to be illuminated once one starts to understand the implications of the money definition that I offered earlier. Money is portions of our life energy in a converted form. So let me take that one step further in service of the question that you just posed, Hugh, and that is to define capitalism. Because there's certainly a lot of polarization around capitalism, and in large part because those who have been practicing capitalism in unethical ways have gotten so much press and so much visibility that a lot of people who don't understand what capitalism really is equate capitalism with sociopathic ways of doing business, and or they equate capitalism with a completely different economic form that mostly goes unnamed and has been masquerading as capitalism in our society for quite a few decades now. That is debtism. Debtism is borrowing against an uncertain future in order to prop up some lifestyle in the present that we have been propagandized into believing is the lifestyle that is supposed to make us happy and validate our worth. So when we get all of that self-worth stuff complicating our understanding of money, everything goes south real fast. Contrast that to this definition of capitalism. If you imagine a fraction, so you've got a numerator at the top and a denominator at the bottom with a horizontal line in between the two. So this is C for capitalism equals PLE times 2C. In other words, the definition of money, portions of our life energy in a converted form, over A, the letter A, standing for agreements. What does that mean in practical terms? When I have determined that I want to convert my the portions of my life energy that I'm devoting to monetization into a form where if I'm doing consultations on an hourly basis, and I say, let me just use a round figure because the dollar amount doesn't matter, so let's just make the math simple. If I say I want to convert that life energy of mine at $100 an hour, then what unethical capitalism says is my job is to manipulate you into wanting what I've got and into sacrificing your own life balance to access my expertise for $100 an hour, even if that's not wise for you. Whereas authentic capitalism says, if I have determined that the conversion rate of my monetization life energy is, again, in this hypothetical for using round figures, $100 an hour, then if what I'm providing in the way of life energy happens to match what is in integrity for you to devote $100 worth of your life energy for, then we have an agreement that rips off no one, that the giver is not sacrificing in order to give, and the receiver is not sacrificing in order to receive. That is the psychological definition of healthy capitalism. And the percentage of people that even understand that in our society seems to me to be a fraction of 1%.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Doesn't that require risk on both parts?
Yes, of course. But so does life. I mean, we could just stamp newborns with a stamp when they come into the world, saying, and where the stamp says, yes, life may be risky to your health. So Daniel, take it a step further, because risk is a given. So go all the way into what you're trying to illuminate.
That it requires people to be in a place of integrity and authenticity on both parts, and trust that the other one is also doing the same thing.
Bingo. So the risk you're talking about is in the realm of what is commonly, I think, mislabeled trust. And more accurately, in my opinion, it's in the realm of accountability.
Okay, thank you.
Not the usual everyday distorted version of accountability, which unfortunately in too many circles, accountability is misused as a punishment tool and a manipulation tool and a coercion tool. But accountability simply meaning that we're both clear about what I am committing to in our relationship. We're both clear about what you're committing to in our relationship, and we're both clear about what the impacts are going to be if we follow through on the agreements we've made, and what those impacts are going to be if we don't follow through on those agreements. Now,
Dr. Gruder, do you have any real life situations that you can give us?
Sure. Is it all right if I use an agreement situation? Do you want one with money involved or not with money involved, or does it not matter to you?
With money involved.
Okay. So with money involved, one of the places that people fall off the wagon right from the get-go in agreement situations around money is not specifying the deliverables in a form that an independent observer could say, yes, that's happened, no, that's not happened. So let me give you an example of that. Let's suppose that you need a website built, and you go looking around and start vetting different website designers, and you come up with, you land on someone that you really like their work, and the recommendations about the quality of their work are good, and so you're getting down to brass tacks and carving out an agreement. But unfortunately, that person says, I will build you a website in 2 weeks. That'll be our agreement. I'll have a website for you in 2 weeks. And the time lapse doesn't matter. They could say a month, they could say 2 months, whatever it is. But let's just say, for illustration's sake, I'll have it for you in 2 weeks. That's not an agreement. There's nothing accountable about that. That is nothing more than a good intention. On the other hand, if the website designer says, I will build you a website that includes a home page, an about page, a contact page, a shopping cart, testimonies page, whatever specificity. You could map it out however fits the need, but where the specifications are very, very clear, and not where they say, I'll have it done for you in 2 weeks, but where they say, I will post the first version of your about page, your biography page, within, and again, I'm just going to make up numbers for the sake of illustration, within 3 business days after you have provided me with your bio and your press photo. Mutually interdependent deliverables. Until you've got that level of specificity, there is nothing to trust, because all there is good intentions. It's not an accountability capable agreement until the specifics are enumerated in not just one direction, but a mutual direction. So I'll give you one other aspect of this, and that has to do with payment tranches, payment at certain milestones. So I will pay you, I'm going to make up round numbers again, they have nothing to do with real life. I'll pay you $50 at the beginning as a good faith down payment for starting the website. I will pay you another $100 when you have completed the first 3 of these 6 deliverables, let's say, and I'll pay you another $100 when you have delivered the final 3 of these 6 deliverables. And again, the numbers don't mean anything, because in reality, you're unlikely to build a website for $200, but I'm just trying to use round figures.
Yeah, and
you were
David,
going to add something?
There's a big gap there, and we all hire people to do things, and we're all trusting good nature, but we're not very clear. So as leaders, we set up the problem by not having that clarity that you're defining. I want to move that same concept into, we're all building teams. Everybody on this call works with a board or a team or volunteers or whatever. Some are early stage, some are just onboarding teams. Part of the money shadow is it's customary for a board of directors to all be donors. And we think, people are volunteer, we don't want to ask them for money. So there's that same thing here. And there's also the, if you're going to serve, there's a contract. You're not being paid, you're actually paying to be on the board. But you're also brain tithing. You and I know this from the work we do at CEO Space. We're brain tithing and we're connecting our passion. So there's a non-monetary contribution, but there's also this agreement that ought to be in place, but that's not. And we have this blockage in asking people for money. Am I too vague in the question here?
No, not for me. The hesitancy to ask for money, for me, goes all the way back to this psychological definition of money. I'm hesitant to ask you to gift a portion of your life energy for a purpose and a cause that you have already expressed authentic passion about wanting to support. There is no difference except in form, but on an energy level, on a spiritual level, there is no difference between my gifting an hour of my volunteer time and my gifting an amount of money that would be the equivalent of what I could make in an hour of my time. There is no difference between the two except in form. Either way, I'm gifting an hour of my life energy, either through direct services or through the amount of money that my life energy has converted in an hour's time. And when people don't understand that, they create this faulty dichotomy between gifting their expertise or time and gifting their money. On top of that, when we're board members in a nonprofit, what we're gifting in the way of our life energy is role modeling. And the gift of role modeling on a board is that if I am a board of a nonprofit that in part or in whole relies on donations, financial donations, not simply other funding sources like grants or government government allocations or things like that. But if I'm in a nonprofit that relies at least in part on donations, and I as a board member am not modeling that particular form of providing portions of my life energy, then I am not walking the talk that encourages others to do the same.
Absolutely. We had the No BS coach is up in Floyd, and I just put it together. That's Sarah Beth Jones. She's your Jewish sister up in the mountains of Floyd, Virginia. She said, and Sarah Beth, I lost it. It came across the screen. I don't know how to get it back. But she said, wouldn't it be great if we could channel money or use money to create goodness, to create good things? And I'm paraphrasing because I can't find it. But we've had David 112 people come by on Periscope, and some have commented. We have nonprofit chat questions posted on Twitter, so go and use the hashtag, because we won't find it if there's so many tweets. Hashtag nonprofit chat and respond. And David, we can go to an hour. We can go a little more if you want. We got 2 more questions. Can we move on to the third one, or is there more you want to deal with in this particular integrity? I mean, we've really opened up a lot of topics.
I could talk for hours about any one of these items, and so I'm happy to move on to the next. I do want to do a quick footnote, though, first, which is what we started to touch on in terms of accountability and accountability procedures. That's a whole different set of skills that, as you know, I have step-by-step procedures for. So we might consider touching on those in some other chat call that we do.
That's a big deal. And agreements and when I did the one-day symposium in San Diego, you did a module on that, and it was stunning. It was stunning. So we're down to is lack of funding a self-esteem issue? Would that be organizational self-esteem or individual self-esteem, or both?
Yes. Both. Absolutely. It is a self-esteem issue, because the principle here is that the less I value my life energy, the lower the amount is that I'm going to want to exchange my life energy for with my allocations of life energy that are for monetization purposes. And when a leader of a nonprofit or a fundraiser for a nonprofit similarly has a muddy relationship with money, a guilt-based relationship, a scarcity-based relationship with money, when they don't understand the implications of money as life energy in a converted form, what they don't tend to understand because of that is that if they're sheepish about inviting others to bestow portions of their life energy on a nonprofit whose mission is this gorgeous, delicious match with the positive impact that individual is aching to have in the world. If the fundraiser doesn't understand that they are offering donors of time and money an opportunity to have positive impact in the world, then they are going to come from a place of lack and a place of guilt about asking for money. And it's never, as Daniel said beautifully earlier on in this, it's never about asking for money. It's about inviting people into their passion, inviting people into determining if the ways in which they are called to have positive impact in the world are beautifully matched with the ways that your nonprofit is having beautiful, positive impact in the world. Because when that match exists, then it's never about asking them for anything. It's about offering them an opportunity to express and channel their pre-existing desire to have positive impact in those ways that your nonprofit is offering a way of accomplishing. Imagine if fundraisers approached acquiring donors and time givers, volunteers, from that perspective.
I could hear you talk all night. You could talk all night. I could hear you. I could listen to you. David Gruder, there's no end to your background knowledge and experience in so many areas. I'm grateful to have you in my space and sharing the work. Actually, we started this whole thing with CenterVision together, and it's coming into a new space this year with live events. We're looking at doing major events in Chicago and San Diego and Grand Rapids, and eventually coming back to Orlando area. We're doing big cities with multi-day events. Not like the one you attended, Daniel. It's another whole impact piece. As we're coming up to the hour here, David, the last question we framed was similar to the first one, and it was about our fundamental definition of money, which you covered already. And I think you already covered how does it limit our financial success. So I think we've covered the questions that we posed out on the Twitter chat. So I'm wondering if we'd like to hear from the people on the Zoom part of it. We've got a number of people that can't talk to us on Twitter. 117 have been by there. Some are tweeting things, but I don't know how to find them.
Yeah,
Russell,
Daniel has something.
And Russell put, value is not a dirty word, nor is it used very frequently in nonprofit circles. Yeah. So let's let people weigh in as you want to. And Daniel, why don't you kick us off, sir?
The thing that I want to know, I want to learn from you all.
A little louder, please.
The thing that I want to learn, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Is the question that I believe everybody has in their minds always is, what's in it for me? And I'm hearing that part of that answer is to help you express your passion in the best way. I would like to learn more about how to share a message that allows people to get inspired by getting into their hearts about what's in it for me, for them, and to get them excited about being able to express that.
Sure. My way of framing this, and obviously, as you well know, Daniel, the ultimate answer is always individualized to the person. But my most common theme is that I go back to a framing that has to do with what I view as our three core drives as human beings. The drive to be who we truly are, which is authenticity. The drive to bond with others, which is connections. And the drive to influence the world around us, which is impact. And what nonprofits offer, the opportunity that nonprofits offer to people who might become involved with those nonprofits through volunteering, time, goods, money, whatever expertise, whatever it might happen to be, is that they have an opportunity to authentically connect with others through a medium, that being that particular nonprofit or religious institution or cause-based socialpreneur organization, in a way that helps them, that enables them, that amplifies their desire to have positive impact in the world. And when I frame it in terms of authenticity, connection, and impact, and invite people considering connecting with a nonprofit to evaluate the nonprofit's potential for them to express their authenticity, their desire to bond with others, and most importantly, their drive to have positive influence in the world. When they look at it through that lens, then they start defining value for themselves, the value of investing their time, resources, money, expertise into their passion to have positive influence. Is that responsive to you, Daniel?
That is a book. Thank you.
All right, I want to go around robin for everybody as we're signing off here. Daniel, what was the most helpful thing tonight for you?
Well, I just feel a clarity about feeling more comfortable in approaching people with some ideas, knowing that I am indeed blessing them by allowing them to bless others.
Awesome.
That's gorgeous.
Renee, can you hear what's you've been in this thing and taking notes? What was helpful?
Yeah.
And you got a whole group there. We're gonna have a quiz for your group. What was helpful? Hi there. What was helpful for y'all tonight?
For me, the beautiful words that David gave us, I wrote some of them down. I hope that it's in the notes. Those were so inspiring. I'm just really excited for the verbiage. And to, I think that we always hear that self-esteem is an issue with money. And so I would like to know how one can develop their self-esteem, how they can do that to, what are some tools in creating that kind of self-esteem or to ask for money. So those were my 2 comments. Do you guys have anything you want to?
Yes, I'd like to.
Okay. He's going to come over here by the...
And who is this person?
Okay,
Joel Oppenheimer.
I'm Joel Oppenheimer, and my nonprofit is to support vets who are coming home with PTSD, to know that they are not alone and that PTSD is manageable. And you've given me some wonderful, wonderful verbiage that I can use to get people to support financially the process of helping these kids so they don't commit suicide.
Thank you.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
And let me just quickly double back to what Renee was saying, because there's nothing. Hugh knows this because we've done so much training together, given so many training programs together, and Russell knows this to an extent too. But a lot of you don't know that everything that Hugh and I have been discussing tonight, either he or I or both of us have distilled from these high-level concepts into step-by-step skills. And so what you were asking about, Renee, there are specific skills that are learnable and usable, and we just couldn't go into that level of detail in this short a time frame, but we've got them.
Yeah. So please send us your notes, and we can have another chat. And David and I'll be glad to share what we have as far as resources. Thank you for opening up that. Russ Mann.
David.
Oh, my pleasure. Renee, was there anyone else in your circle that wanted to check out? Or
These are all people that have programs under the umbrella of the Open Mind Foundation.
Oh, sweet.
Hi there. You have a question?
John, come over.
Come on, John. Come on up here.
All right.
He's very polite. John is Native American descent, and how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
I was going to hurry and say something about John. He is running our Native Empowerment Program.
Love it, love it.
We're really lucky, spiritual as well. He teaches spirituality and taking care of the earth, and he's very, very powerful. So I just wanted to give him a little plug there.
Yeah. Speak a little louder, John. I want to hear every word.
Okay, my issue, it's been for many years, and now we're back in the limelight. We're working to sort of educate Americans, especially, but it's all over the world, with the people that are standing for the purity of water and air and our earth. And I don't know if you've been following the things in North Dakota, but there's a lot of people that are standing for these issues now. And I'm from the old American Indian movement. I don't know if you remember us or not, but I was a child when I started. But I'm still in the fight, I'm still not so much fighting, but keeping the real nature of our world. Any people that are interested in really understanding what's going on with the pipelines and all of that. So right here now, we're affiliated with several other groups, and we're looking for volunteers that are interested in helping with earth survival and, just protecting their own bodies. And this is very interesting. We used to go door to door, and we raised money for our caravans to, we were the first real occupying America, as we did. And so now we're going back to educating younger people, and it's really exciting for me, more than depressing. A lot of people are depressed. All that. Working with you and your friends like David, who are it's a very exciting world for me to see that this is happening and still going on. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing.
If I might offer, instead of looking for volunteers, I believe what you're really looking for is people who are purpose-driven and whose driving purpose overlaps beautifully with the driving purpose of your mission. So you're looking for people, you're offering people an opportunity to right match their purpose with yours instead of looking for volunteers.
And we reframe them into servant leaders. And John, thank you for weighing in. Diana, you've been dark the whole time. Have you been following us? Can you hear?
Yes.
Hi there. Where are you located?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Where are you?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm in San Diego. I joined this from CEO Space, a friend, and I didn't know you can hear me on here. But I just wanted to say thank you for sharing the formula. It's very helpful to see it in kind of like a compact formula because it's so hard sometimes to remember, why it's okay. It's just all part of life. This is the whole reason I started my nonprofit was because of all the energy that I was involved around and with, and so then it just turned out to be a cause. So it's important to remember that, I think, because what I'm also finding out is that it's very important to know the actual specific of the cause and why it is that I'm doing this. So as long as I keep talking about that, it's kind of going to come together, I think. Does that make sense?
It makes tremendous sense. You're if I say it in a deliberately lighthearted way, you're providing an example of running a dating service, right? You're matchmaking between your cause, your purpose, and the purpose that matches other people's desire to have positive impact in specific spheres of influence that draw them. So this is really, it's matchmaking that the whole nonprofit world is in the matchmaking business, but they don't treat themselves as matchmakers.
dollars.
That's a great analogy. Russ and then Doyle, let's let you weigh in. What was helpful, Russ, tonight? You've been a good listener.
What's really been helpful is just reinforcement of things that I've come to understand and come to believe the importance of that relationship with money, and that reminder that it's all life energy and money's a tool. So that's really been helpful, and it's really been helpful to see other people out there who are giving and understand that who you are is at the heart of it. And so I actually scheduled a nonprofit culture success meetup online. I do those every other week. And the topic for the 15th is creating win-win-win. And that's bringing people together. And I mentioned the word value. That's kind of a dirty word. You start getting into some of that corporate speak. But what we're doing is we're giving people an opportunity to partner with us to make some positive change in the world. And we're not showing up with our hats in our hand. We're saying, this is a problem, we agree on it. Let's look at what you want out of it. Create wins for people that work with your organization internally. It's not a completely open-ended commitment where their time goes into a black hole. You agree on your values and vision and mission, and then it's clear. People want you to tell them what to do, you know. So when it's clear how much time, effort, and commitment that they have to make, they're all in. And when it comes to asking for money, your servant leaders, hey, they're tithing their time. They're already in. It's logical to ask them for their treasure. If they're given treasure, it's logical to have a little bit of time so that they can make just that little bit more of impact. And so the win has to be there for the people that are with you internally, has to be there for the people that are directly receiving your services, and it has to be there for the people that are paying. So that's sort of what we're going to be talking about. But I love hanging out with Dave. I learned so much from him. And this is new stuff. I mean, we talk about a lot of stuff, but he's constantly creating things. And win-win-win for me is something that is very important. So when you frame that and when you look at things in that way, you're deliberate in getting resources. And I love the life energy analogy because there are two terms. One is sponsorship and the other is pro bono. It's money in the bank, baby, because you're getting that brain power, you're getting that expertise. It's what you write a check for if you don't have it. And it's something that sticks with you and stays with you. So it's all about people. People are the primary resource that a nonprofit has.
Love it. And then
rest of it's ancillary.
Sorry. Is Doyle here? Doyle, you want to weigh in?
Okay, my closing statement is two comments here. The first is community and impact. Again, thank you for inviting me to this meeting because what I miss, even though I'm around a few positive people, being a lab rat and still trying to come out the lab with all of my joy and wisdom and everything else that I got incorporated in me, I still got to learn how to get it out of me, and that's still a process. Because before I started the process, which I've been going through for the last 10 years, I was more outgoing with, but I kind of became a recluse. So I thank you guys for the impact of the information I received tonight, because I need to hear this and remind myself that I'm not out there begging for something. I'm not out there trying to get people to believe in me. I'm out there letting people know that I have something that they want. And what you guys have shared with me tonight is I got to constantly remind myself of that one point is I have something that is very powerful, and I need to stop. I need to keep listening to the internal dialogue and CDs and videos and getting involved with Hugh, who is my mentor, to get myself out of the shell that I know I'm in. And the other part of that is the second point I wanted to make is nobody's talking about it. I haven't heard nobody really focusing in on this one point here. That we all got different personalities. I call basically personas, and those 4 personas that I'm aware of, I'm calling melancholy, and I'm glad to be around Hugh because I think he's a melancholy too, and he pretty much is not in the shell like I am. I gotta constantly remind myself to come out of my shell, and I can watch Hugh how he's out of his shell and putting himself out there with all of his wisdom and everything else. So I'm thankful to have Hugh on board with me with knowing that he's come out of the same kind of mode that I came out of, and I need to keep watching him and how he does things to remind myself that my personality is melancholy and peaceful, and then dominant. And that dominant side of me doesn't want to come out all the time, to get out there and be direct, firm, and cause-driven and purpose-driven. And that's one thing, so that's the second point I want to make. So, Dr. Gruder, I've heard you speak before at the CEO International meeting up in Vegas, and I thank you for what you've given me tonight. And if I can get some more of that wisdom, especially if I can get it free like I did tonight, I'll be glad to take it.
Oh, love it.
Well, the world is thirsty for your light. Stop selling the world short.
I'm not trying to sell it short. I got to get out of the shell. That's all it is. Once I know I'm coming out of it, but I just got to get out the shell.
I was intending to do nothing other than to bless you in doing exactly that.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to copy the links. David has put one in here. Gruder, drgruder.com/money shadow. He's going to do a webinar soon. You can register there. Russell has facebook.com NP Cultural Success, win. And my online course is closing out tomorrow. We're kicking off Thursday night, Unbound Leader. And there's some people here that are going to be in there with me, but it's Doyle, you're way ahead of this one. It's how do we address all these issues with creating our strategy. So, David Gruder, I am honored yet again to be with. I always often tell people, but I'm serious about this. I look good because I hang around smart people like everybody on this call, especially Dr. Gruder. Every time I'm with him, it's just like up in my game. We're in the future. We're going to talk about content development with Content University. Our guest Russell David Dennis is going to talk about the 7 things you should know when you're starting a nonprofit, and he's got some stunning articles that we'll link to, but he's going to facilitate that. We're going to talk about building your marketing strategy, and we're going to talk about how do we engage people online with your website. Got some people who are coming on the horizon that are very good at that. And then maybe I heard David offer in this call, maybe come back around to mutually accountable, enforceable agreements. How do we create the metrics of accountability through really good agreements? And you're a master of that, David. David Gruder, I'm always enriched to be with you. I'm looking on the Twitter that we had 120 people come by and view us. We'll save it and we'll put it out on Facebook. The hashtag nonprofitchat will keep spinning for a little bit, and so please, if you haven't weighed in the questions, go and answer it and then put the hashtag there so we'll find it. Diana, I'm glad to meet you. You're a neighbor of David Gruder, He's in San Diego,
Diana.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Great.
Yeah.
And before you all go, I want to have us join together to bless Hugh, because Hugh Ballou is the ringleader here. He is the one that has put in the sweat and the time and the effort to bring together this kind of community in order to have multiplied impact across so many different spheres of influence in society So thank you for your brilliance and your genius in orchestrating all of that as the gifted conductor that you are, Hugh.
I love you all. I love you all. And so thank you all, and we'll see you again. Please tell people about every Tuesday at 7 Eastern. We rally around some topic and we combine our brilliance and make a big bright light. David, you bless me. Thank you so much.
You bless me back, my friend.
Take care, and I'll save this before I quit. Take care.
Take care.
Could have saved that one.